Hey everyone, this is Scott. I'm going to make a couple videos about removing the lettering from large scale G-gauge boxcars because my club, Genesee G-gauge, is doing a 20th anniversary boxcar project. We got some unlettered cars, undecorated cars, but we couldn't get all undecorated, so a few of them have lettering that we have to take off. At first, I was going to use my tried and true brake fluid method. Plain old brake fluid. I've used it before. Here's a good example. This is my Bachmann Spectrum Mogul. I repainted it a few years ago. It originally had, I think it was Tweetsy lettering on the tender. The gold stripe on the top and bottom are original, they were there. I took off the gold lettering with brake fluid. Just pulled it on, dissolved, left a bit of a hazy finish. I think it took some gloss off. But once I put the new decals on and hit them with a clear coat, worked great. No problems at all. So I thought, well, hey, the boxcar is also Bachmann. Maybe the lettering is similar. I'll try brake fluid on the boxcar. Check it out. It was an absolute disaster. Did not work well at all. This Rio Grande lettering, a club member had tried to paint over it with some red paint. So the brake fluid had to work on that before it even got to the white. And it took the lettering off over here. What's weird is that where the brake fluid pooled the most, it's back to normal brown-red paint. But there's this orange discoloration where the brake fluid had only pooled a little. I think the problem is that the brake fluid got in the gaps of the board and it traveled up and down and it got in the grain and it just made an ugly mess. So, brake fluid on the boxcar, failure. Brake fluid on the Mogul, no problem. Tender is smooth. Boxcar is not. Lesson learned. So, I went online and I looked up other methods. I tried rubbing alcohol, 91%, which I've used to strip paint before. I tried it on one letter and it started to eat into the red underlying paint before it got to the white. These boxcars are actually molded in a brown plastic, but they do actually have a layer of paint on them as well. They have both. I'm not sure why. I tried scraping off some lettering right here. Oh, camera's not focusing. Hold on. I used a steel brush and I scraped at it and it worked okay, but it also gouged up the paint and made it kind of ugly, so that's not a great solution either. So, the best solution I found on my large scale, thanks to TJ's Trains. I will put a link to his webpage in the comments section under this video. And the magical fluid is Super Clean. So, the next video, I will go into detail about using the Super Clean to remove the lettering. And actually, I've already tried it. If Rio Grande fans notice something odd about DNRG, there was a W there. I already took the W off with the Super Clean, and it worked beautifully. There's actually a little bit of white that I didn't get. It's still sitting there in the grain. I'll go back and get that. But the Super Clean is the solution for this project, not the brake fluid. So, the next video I will go into detail about using the Super Clean to take these letters off. Okay. Okay. Let's get this thing rolling. So, here's what you need to remove the lettering. We've got, can't make this work, Super Clean. It used to be Castrol Super Clean, but apparently the Castrol version has been discontinued. Perhaps it was a little too toxic, I'm not sure why. This new version of Super Clean doesn't say Castrol on it anymore. It just says Super Clean. I picked it up at an auto parts store. It still works. I don't think it's quite as strong as the old version, but it might take a little longer, but that's not a big deal because it works. So I'm using the method outlined by TJ from mylargescale.com, and his website is tjstrains.com. I'll put a link to his procedure in the comments section of this video and on the club webpage. So what we're going to do, you need cotton balls. You need your super clean. You need tweezers, because you don't really want to get the super clean on your hands. You could also wear rubber gloves. That would probably be a good idea. You need some sort of eyedropper thing. I got a plastic one here. And toothpicks. Q-tips would also be useful. I'll make a list of all the materials. I wanted toothpicks that had one pointy end and one flat end. I didn't get the peak kind with the flat end, but these will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to spread out the cotton balls a little bit. I want to remove the D and RG. I already took off the W. I want to remove the numbers, and over here I want to remove Rio Grande. So cotton balls, lay them on. The cotton balls are going to hold the liquid to dissolve the letters, and the cool thing about the cotton balls is it also sucks up the white ink as it dissolves. So put those on, and I want to cover Rio and Grande. Oops. Now, I'm going to take, one other important thing you want, ventilation. I'm doing this in front of an open window. Ideally it should be done outside, but it's March and it's still a little cool. So, I've got some of the super clean in the eyedropper, and I'm just going to soak the cotton with it. I want quite a bit to get started. I'm taking it right out of the container. So, I don't have to do a video of the entire soaking process. I will shut the camera off and continue to soak the cotton. And I know from the experience of doing the W that it takes at least 20 minutes before the lettering even starts to dissolve at all. So we'll come back in 20 minutes to half an hour, and we'll see where things are. Okay, 20 minutes have gone by. I messed up a little bit. This is a learning experience. I put on a little too much super clean onto the cotton, and the liquid got away and started to run down the grooves here in the car, and it started to get on the lettering here, which I want to keep, and I tried to dab it up with some paper towel, Kleenex actually, tissue, but it was still too much and it kept coming down the lines, and it actually started to dissolve this lettering a little bit. So I actually took some paper towel and I soaked up the excess from the cotton. The trick is you want just enough liquid so that it's on the lettering, but not enough so that it escapes. I think if you're working on a car that has smooth sides and not these grooves, it would probably work better. But I kept having to dab here with paper towel to keep this lettering dry, right here. And it started to dissolve a little bit, but hopefully it stopped now because it's dry-ish. One thing about this super clean, it really doesn't evaporate at all, which I suppose is useful for this process. But it's been 20 minutes, so let me get the camera back on the tripod. Sorry about that. This might not be the greatest quality video of all time, Alright, I'm going to lift off the cotton. I got a sheet of styrene here to sit the cotton on. Ooh, look at that. That's looking good. Ooh, look at that. The white lettering is just melting away. Beautiful. Toothpick is good. You can get into the grooves. You can get the white right out of the grooves. Now, I'm going to put the cotton back on to suck up some of this excess white ink. I've read online that the lettering is actually an ink, not a paint. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Oh shoot, look. No, the lettering's getting in there again where I don't want it. I want you to stay out of there. Stay out. I don't want you there. Because this car also has wood grain, it's kind of hard to get it out of all the wood grain. Again, if this was a smooth side car, this would probably be significantly easier. The cotton is nice. It actually cleans up the excess, which is handy. Now, 20 minutes was really enough to soften this ink completely. Now it's just a matter of getting all the little specks of white out of all the wood grain. So that'll just take a little bit of doing. Get in there with the toothpick, try to get it all. But it's really coming off nicely, and the underlying red is barely affected. In fact, I don't think it's affected at all. I'm getting no red coming up, only white. It's beautiful. Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off again for a bit, just because you don't really need 5 minutes of me doing this. I'm going to work on this side over here as well with the big Rio Grande lettering. Come back in a few minutes and see what it looks like. Look at this white lettering. This Super Clean basically has just completely dissolved the white. Look at that. This is a fabulous method. It's still getting down here, it's dripping. Take some dry cotton balls, clean this up. Try to keep it out of here. I don't want you there. Maybe if I put some cotton right here, it would stop it from leaking down. Have to experiment with that some more. But look at that. Needs to soak a little bit more, but it's getting there. Gonna put this back on for a little bit. This cotton's a little drier now than it was, so I think it's not going to leak as much. Let that soak for another few minutes and hit it with the toothpick again, and we're almost done. It is now about half an hour since we started, and it's almost done. Okay, we're almost done. The Super Clean has now been on the car for 40 minutes, and it's starting to take off some of the red. I think a mistake I made is I should do only one side at a time, not try to do both sides at the same time. Half an hour, the white came off nicely, but it didn't start to affect the paint underneath. Now I'm at 40 minutes, and I'm starting to get a little bit of lifting on the red paint. It's nothing major, but it is starting to happen, where it wasn't happening at all up until half an hour. So, I think another lesson learned is only do one set of lettering at a time. Don't try to do the whole car all at once, like I did. Don't try to do both sides at the same time. But we're almost done. I decided to keep the cotton up here, and while the white's coming off, I just bring the cotton down and clean up the white, and I can see what I'm doing. So, another few minutes. I'm going to take it down to the utility sink, and I'm going to rinse with water, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, and here is the completed car with the lettering all gone. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Thank you, TJ, for that suggestion. If you get in really close, there's a few little tiny white specks still there. If I wanted to, I could pool up a little bit more super clean and get those out, but I'm not going to bother because we're going to put new decals on. You can see a trace of the W right there. I could get rid of that if I chose to, but I'm not going to bother. The super clean went down the grooves and it took off a little bit of the lettering here, but not a big deal. This discoloration right here is from the wire brush method that I tried. I don't recommend that. It took off too much of the red paint and it made it kind of dull and ugly, but we'll just call that weathering. So, super clean, sweet, highly recommend, works great. The other side that I messed up, this was the brake fluid side. I masked it and I hit it with Krylon Ruddy Brown Primer, which is an excellent paint match. It's a little flat, so I'm going to have to hit it with a gloss clear before I put decals on this side. So that was the brake fluid failure side, and I lost all my data as well, so I'll have to replace the data with decals. Leaving everything on the ends. Oh, geez, DNRGW. Should probably take those off. Well, actually I might not bother. Who really cares what's on the end? So, total success with Super Clean. Very nice. Next step will be putting new decals on. I'll record that too. The club is going to do, I think, 17 cars. 16 or 17 cars. So, we'll have more videos on that. Alright, thanks.